Welcome to India Inside, the GCC Advantage. This is the thought leadership series from CoreBridge GCC Desk.
Hello.
We see ourselves as the ecosystem bridge, really helping connect global enterprises with, well, the huge and accelerating potential we see in India. Our purpose is pretty straightforward. It's to help you, whether you're leading globally or here in India, to strategically understand and capitalize on India's role as the world's top global capability center, or GCC hub.
And we're really glad you could join us for this analysis.
Yeah.
Today, we're digging into, I think, one of the most fundamental shifts happening in corporate strategy right now.
Which is?
The evolution from outsourcing to capability. I mean, think back maybe 20 years ago.
Right.
The whole conversation was purely transactional, wasn't it? All focused on cutting overhead by outsourcing delivery tasks.
Exactly. It was all about cost optimization. You know, if something cost $10 back at HQ, the goal was, how do we get this done for $3 in India? Simple as that.
But that model's really reached its limit.
It really has. India isn't just an execution partner anymore. It's become a strategic capability partner. We're seeing centers building intellectual property, owning entire product lines, driving genuine innovation.
That's the core of it.
Yeah.
So today we want to explore the forces behind that shift, look at some specific state policies that helped fuel it, and understand the new economics driving this really high-value transformation.
Okay, so let's start with that fundamental paradigm shift you mentioned. Global companies didn't just wake up one day and decide to, be nicer to their Indian operations.
No, not quite. Their definition of value fundamentally changed. They moved from just seeking efficiency, basically doing repeatable stuff cheaper, to demanding excellence.
Excellence meaning?
Meaning doing breakthrough work.
Yeah.
Work that maybe couldn't even be done effectively elsewhere.
Okay, I see. And I think there are, maybe three major forces that kind of converged almost perfectly to make this happen, to make it almost inevitable.
What are those in your view?
Well, first, definitely technology maturity. I mean, 15 years ago, trying to run a complex, globally distributed R&D team with the basic tools we had then, almost impossible.
Right. Clunky interfaces, slow connections.
Exactly. But today, you've got seamless cloud computing, sophisticated AI tools, amazing digital collaboration platforms. Geographical distance has pretty much collapsed. You can have a senior product lead in Seattle working in real time, fluidly, with their core development team in Bangalore or Hyderabad.
That tech leap is absolutely critical, no doubt.
Right.
But, it only really works because of the second force, talent evolution.
Yes, the people.
The narrative used to be just about the sheer volume, right?
Yeah.
India's massive number of STEM graduates.
Yes, the scale argument.
But now that volume has matured.
That's
It's
right.
deepened into specialization. We're talking about highly skilled pools of niche engineers, AI scientists, product designers, domain experts, people who can genuinely handle high-value, complex mandates. They're building the future now, not just maintaining legacy systems.
That's a crucial distinction. And the third force, which I think sometimes gets a bit underestimated, is strategic intent.
How so?
Well, corporations started to realize that putting all their critical capability eggs in one basket, say, all your AI research or your core digital transformation teams solely located at headquarters, was actually a massive operational risk.
The concentration risk.
Precisely. So diversifying that capability footprint to stable, high talent centers like India suddenly wasn't just about costs. It enhances operational resilience, it drastically reduces risk exposure, and critically, it speeds up innovation cycles. You embed speed directly into the global operating model.
Okay, so those are the forces: technology, talent, and strategic intent. If those are the drivers, let's talk about the results. What does this capability ownership actually look like on the ground? Because it sounds like more than just a change in tasks. It's a cultural shift, too.
It's a huge cultural and accountability shift. It means the GCC is moving beyond just being a support function.
And into full accountability, right?
Yeah, exactly. So if we break down that ownership, are we talking about a GCC potentially taking full P&L accountability for, let's say, an entire digital customer onboarding journey from start to finish?
That's precisely it. The shift is really from delivery to design. It means the GCC isn't just executing a task order or a ticket that comes in.
Right.
They own the whole thing. The conceptualization, the optimization, the continuous improvement of entire product modules or customer journeys or key functional areas.
So it's a move from service to strategy then.
Absolutely. These centers are now contributing directly to global executive decision-making. They're leveraging advanced data analytics, real-time customer insights generated right there in the GCC.
Okay, and the ultimate sign of maturity, the one that really defines this new era.
For me, it's the shift from support to IP creation. That's the game changer. We're talking about centers that are actively filing new patents, say, for predictive analytics models developed in-house. They're publishing world-class research papers. They're creating reusable intellectual property that the global parent corporation can then deploy across multiple markets worldwide.
That's the real difference, isn't it, between being seen as a cost center versus being an engine of competitive advantage.
Exactly. That transition is incredible. But, it didn't just happen in a vacuum. There was a crucial enabler.
The policy landscape.
Precisely. The acceleration of this capability shift really wouldn't have been possible without forward-looking Indian state policies that actively moved beyond just simple tax breaks.
That's such a critical pivot. The government's goal, it seems, isn't just about attracting any jobs anymore. It's about upgrading the quality of those jobs, making India truly irresistible for high-value R&D work.
Mm-hmm. And they've cleverly fostered a kind of positive policy competition between states, haven't they?
Yeah.
All trying to attract that next wave of innovation.
They
These policies are really designed to do two things: accelerate skill formation in key areas, and essentially subsidize faster, perhaps less risky, capability development for companies. They de-risk that initial, often significant investment required to move high-end work.
And when you look at the specifics, the incentives being offered are quite compelling. We're seeing states provide significant financial support mechanisms, things like CapEx and OpEx support to lower those initial setup costs.
Right.
And critically substantial payroll reimbursements. Sometimes I've seen up to 50% in the first year, specifically targeting the employment risk in these new high-growth capability areas.
And what's fascinating to me is how strategically these policies are often deployed. They frequently emphasize funding strategic cluster development, say emerging tech hubs or specific zones like GIFT City.
Connecting GCC establishment directly to national goals like Viksit Bharat at 2047.
Exactly. They're trying to build specialized ecosystems, hubs of expertise, not just isolated corporate offices. Think about the Gujarat GCC policy or the support mechanisms in Madhya Pradesh focusing on R&D and patents.
Which brings us, I think, neatly to the economics of all this, because the way we measure success has changed too. Traditional outsourcing, as we said, was judged on simple cost arbitrage. Lowering operating expense was the main goal.
Right, that was the old metric.
But for these capability-driven GCCs, the new scorecard, the real measure, is innovation ROI.
And that ROI is translating into some pretty staggering growth figures.
Yeah.
If you look at the data from sources like NASSCOM and Zinnov, India's GCC market value is already sitting at roughly, $64.6 billion in 2024?
$64.6 billion, yeah. It's huge.
And the projection, it's expected to cross $100 billion by 2030, employing close to 3 million high-skilled professionals. Think about that scale.
So what does that $100 billion projection actually mean for a CXO listening right now? To me, it suggests the financial risk of not strategically diversifying your capability portfolio to India might now be significantly higher than the perceived risk of making the move.
That's a great point. Waiting could actively be costing you innovation value, competitive edge.
Yeah.
And when you factor in the total cost of ownership, the TCO efficiency, especially when you strategically leverage policy support in non-metro areas, well, the financial argument becomes almost undeniable.
We're talking Tier 2 cities here.
Yes. Incentives in many Tier 2 cities can potentially lower the total cost of ownership by up to 40% compared to the major metros. But again, while the cost savings are attractive, the real value drivers are often qualitative, aren't they? Like the massive speed-to-market gains you get from having integrated, co-located teams cutting down product release cycles. And the innovation value generated by those dedicated centers of excellence that feeds long-term, hard-to-replicate competitive advantages.
Okay, let's make this less abstract. Can we look at a concrete example? A story of this policy success actually playing out. I recall a case involving a major global consumer goods giant.
Ah, yes, the FMCG company in Gujarat.
That's the one. They essentially transformed what was a regional back office into a really high-end capability GCC, specifically within that Ahmedabad-Vadodara cluster.
And their initial goal, if I remember correctly, was mostly cost reduction, but the mandate shifted quite quickly.
It did. They ended up focusing on building deep capability in advanced digital marketing and analytics-driven demand forecasting. These are core business drivers, not just back-office support functions.
And the state's policy framework was a direct enabler.
Absolutely. They leveraged Gujarat's payroll subsidies and, importantly, the specific patent assistance provisions that were on offer.
Those results.
Pretty transformative. Within just 2 years, they actually filed a new predictive analytics patent based entirely on work done in that GCC. They documented a 12% reduction in supply chain waste, thanks to better forecasting from the analytics team. And remarkably, they still managed to reduce their overall TCO by 30% compared to what equivalent operations would have cost in a major metro hub.
That case really demonstrates it, doesn't it? That these policy-driven clusters can deliver both operational savings and genuine high-end innovation gains. It's not an either-or anymore.
Right. But let's, inject a little bit of healthy skepticism here. This growth trajectory sounds amazing, almost too good to be true sometimes. But moving core IP, critical capabilities to a new location, that always carries execution risk.
Always.
So for a CXO listening, perhaps preparing to scale up their GCC capability, what's the immediate major roadblock investors are actually hitting on the ground today? And crucially, how do they mitigate it?
You've hit on the absolute critical question for execution. When scaling capability, leaders rightly worry about, I'd say, 3 key execution risks. The first one is definitely policy variation.
Meaning incentives change between states or even over time.
Exactly. What's offered in Gujarat might differ from Karnataka or Telangana, and policies can evolve. The mitigation strategy here requires early, deep, and continuous engagement with the designated state points of contact, the SPOCs. Essentially, yes. Secure formal written commitments regarding the long-term stability and applicability of incentives. You need that certainty before you make heavy investments.
Okay, policy certainty. What about the talent? We hear a lot about the talent shortage, the fear that if you scale too quickly, you just drain the local market of specific skills.
That's a valid concern, especially for niche skills. Mitigation here has to be proactive and long-term. It's not just about hiring, it's about building the ecosystem.
How?
You need to build strategic reskilling partnerships with local universities and technical institutions. And crucially, leverage the government internship and apprenticeship support programs that often come with these state policies. The policies are designed to help build the pipeline, but corporations need to be active partners in actually developing that talent pool.
Makes sense. Co-investing in talent. And finally, perhaps the most critical one for these high-value GCCs, IP protection. If you're generating patents and valuable know-how,
you absolutely need to protect it locally. The strategy must be proactive. That means registering your intellectual property in India, and critically, utilizing those specific patent filing and reimbursement provisions that are often embedded within state GCC policies.
So the policy can actually help subsidize your IP protection.
Precisely. If you're not actively registering IP locally and leveraging those incentives, you're essentially leaving money and protection on the table. It's a policy-driven subsidy for your own protective assets.
Okay, this complexity navigating policy, talent partnerships, IP strategy, this is exactly where, well, a function like the CoreBridge GCC Desk becomes essential, isn't it?
It really is.
We act as that ecosystem bridge. We connect investors directly with the right government contacts, the key academic partners, and help them understand the specific policy benefits available in different locations.
Our job is essentially to map those complex incentives, evaluate the strengths and weaknesses of specific city-level ecosystems, and then help design scalable pilot-to-scale models.
Models that align your specific corporate capability goals with the state policy benefits on offer, ensuring, hopefully, a faster setup and significantly reduced risk along the way.
And ultimately ensuring you achieve that much stronger, sustainable, long-term innovation ROI we talked about.
So if we look ahead now, maybe towards the end of this decade, what's the strategic outlook? Where is this heading?
I think the outlook is actually remarkably clear. This is definitively the capability decade for India's GCCs. India isn't just a destination for operations anymore. It has firmly established itself as a strategic capability partner for global enterprises.
And the focus will shift even further.
I believe so. By 2030, the overwhelming focus, the main value proposition, will be on driving global product innovation and creating next-generation intellectual property across virtually all sectors.
Okay. So a final actionable insight for the strategic leaders listening.
My key takeaway for you is this. The next frontier for launching truly world-class, high-impact GCCs is increasingly in India's Tier 2 cities.
Why Tier 2 specifically?
They offer a compelling combination: increasingly affordable infrastructure, vastly improving connectivity, and perhaps most importantly, a large, eager, highly educated young workforce ready and willing to embrace these high-value roles. That's where a lot of the untapped potential and future growth lies.
That is a critical insight to reflect on. The future of India's GCC strategy seems firmly planted in capability ownership, fueled by that specialized talent pool we discussed, and really accelerated by targeted, forward-looking state policies. So we really encourage you, if this resonates, to connect with us at the CoreBridge GCC Desk. Let's have a deeper conversation about mapping your corporate strategy, undertaking detailed policy evaluation for specific locations, or even designing a pilot program.
Let us help you navigate this complex but incredibly high-potential environment.
You can also explore some of the CoreBridge curated resources we've put together. We've linked things like the latest NASSCOM and ZINOFF reports and some detailed state policy summaries right there in the description for this analysis.
Please do take a look and join us next time. We'll be tackling another crucial challenge for CXOs operating GCCs in India,
Which is
how to successfully develop and, just as importantly, retain local leadership talent. That's absolutely key for long-term GCC success and sustainability.
a critical topic indeed. We look forward to partnering with you, our listeners, in shaping this next exciting decade of global capability leadership driven from India.
Thank you for listening. Just a reminder, the information presented in this program is for general informational purposes only. It does not constitute business or legal advice. CoreBridge GCC Desk encourages all listeners to consult with appropriate professionals regarding specific investment and operational decisions.